Hello, and welcome back to Laying It Out. I'm Chelsea Pockets.
And I'm Scotti Dempsey.
And the tables have turned. Now I have COVID. Unfortunately, went to go see a friend in Colorado over the July 4th weekend. I was wearing a mask. Most of the airplane was not wearing a mask. I'm pretty sure that's where I got it from. Came back, and now I have COVID. And thankfully, the worst of it is done now. And I was telling Scotti, never had a fever, never lost sense of taste or smell. Mostly just had to go isolate myself in my bedroom from my boyfriend and my cat for 5 days. And yeah,
that sucks. I mean,
yeah.
It's on one hand, it's okay, I have the 90 days of immunity, so I'm kind of excited to get COVID, get it over and done with. But also, it does suck to be sick and to be wow. I mean, especially when I had it, I was my body is failing me. I'm going to die. So I'm glad you're on the other side of it and you're feeling better.
I'm kind of on the other side of it. So my summer league captain really, really wants me to play. And she was oh, if you test negative on the day of our game and you wear a mask, it's been so many days that you would be able to play. And I'm all right, I gotta go for a run with a mask on and see if I could actually do it, because I'm not having trouble breathing, but I am still a little sick and I am coughing, so I don't know if I could run. We're gonna see.
I mean, take it easy. I had COVID, then I came back and went on that camping trip and we played 10 hours of Frisbee, and I was gassed. It's just take care of yourself. Because then, of course, I was everybody feel bad for me. I'm sick. Everybody pay attention to me. I was sick at one point. Because I was I need to make an excuse for the fact that I can't stop running. Or that I have to stop, and take a break. Ugh. Anyway.
Yeah. I did take a day off of work yesterday, which was really nice. My boss was very nice about it. He was oh, you sound horrible. What's wrong? I have COVID. He's why are you still working? Turn off your... This was on Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. He's shut your computer off now. Take the day off. And he sent me a Grubhub gift card.
Oh,
he was go get something nice. I know you're not feeling well. I'm wow, you're so nice.
That's so nice. I'm so glad that they're so nice about it.
He's a little sweet. Well, my team is very small. So we're all good friends.
Yeah.
Very off topic, but talking about my team, I work with one British man, and I was telling Scotti this, but I thought it was really funny today. We were talking about because my quarantine activity was watching Love Island, the new series. I've never watched it before, but it's just British trashy TV. And the concept is, the concept is The Bachelor, but it's not just one person and a load of potential mates. It's just there's it's almost equal number of people vying for each other's attention. And so I asked my British coworker, I was oh, what do you think about Love Island? And he goes on this whole rant about how it's trashy TV, but he's oh, it's probably good for your COVID brain. And then we just start talking about American versus British television. And he's do you know that show? And I have a shit British accent, so I'm not even going to try and attempt. I thought he was saying porn stars, but he was saying pawn stars. And I'm I don't really watch that. I'm not. But he kept saying and I thought he kept saying porn stars. And I'm he's what's it called? Hardcore porn? I'm oh my God, what are we talking about?
Oh no.
And then I was I don't know. And then he mentioned oh, that bald guy in Las Vegas, because I think that's where Pawn Stars is located. He's and I'm oh, you mean Pawn Stars? I thought you were saying porn stars. He's I think it's the accent. I heard no difference in the two things that you just said. So he doesn't even know that I thought he was talking about porn. That was my conversation today.
Yeah, that's really funny.
It was good. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of work, I was just telling Pockets I officially put this podcast on my resume, so now I'm like, I don't know, I gotta put out top quality content here because that's what we do, I guess. That's what we weren't doing. Now, we will only deliver the finest quality Ultimate Frisbee podcast.
Finest of goods. I don't know, man. So today's episode, if we want to talk about like good Ultimate Frisbee podcast episodes. So if you've been following along on any social media source or just know Ultimate in general, the World Games are happening right now as we speak. We're recording this on the Tuesday, so it's the first day of the flying disc category. So I was looking that up. It's like the flying disc is the sports category. The discipline is ultimate. But we wanted to kind of do like a semi Scotti Doesn't Know episode on the World Games versus the World Ultimate Guts Championship versus the World Ultimate Club Championship. And like we started getting more and more into this, and I don't know very much about this topic. And I'm realizing there's more and more and more. And there's like World Ultimate U24, U20. And I'm like, oh my god, why are there so many international Ultimate tournaments? Yeah. Why are there so many different world championships? So that's my long-winded way of saying we're going to attempt to do a Scotti Doesn't Know World Games and other related events, but Pockets also doesn't know too much.
Spotty doesn't know?
Spotty? Is that our
I don't know. I realized that Scotti has to rhyme because of the song, so we'll just put your P in there and we'll be No. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. Okay. Well,
Lindsay, play the song. Alright, well, we're gonna take a break after that, and then we'll jump into me trying to explain my way through all of it. So, catch you after that. Scotti doesn't know. Oh, Scotti doesn't know. So don't tell Scotti. Scotti doesn't know. Scotti doesn't know. Alright, welcome back. Scotti, before we begin, I feel like this is a good thing to do before every Scotti Doesn't Know episode. So what do you know about the World Games?
So before we get into what you don't know, what do you know? What do I know about the World Games? Well, here's the issue. There's so many tournaments that what I know about Ultimate Frisbee Worlds mostly comes from Khalif El Salam's Twitter threads about trying out and whether or not he was going to make it, and then getting a roster spot, and then that abysmal USAU graphic that they released. And that's really the most that I know is like that roster is like the biggest names in Ultimate. And like the closest I got to it was through that, living vicariously through that Twitter thread. So I think that it's in Alabama, right?
Yes.
Mostly because Charlie was looking for reporters and I was busy that weekend. So I did not want to go to Alabama and report. And there's going to be a lot of teams internationally there because it is a international worlds tournament.
Good job.
Thank you.
If you were interested in Khalif's like Twitter thread, he also did a very interesting Instagram story series. They're still like saved on his Instagram, where he like documented the tryout process. It was like 2 tryout days, and it was just like very cool to watch. So I would recommend going and watching that. I watched that as they came out. It was very cool. But yeah, the World Games is basically the Olympics for sports that aren't in the Olympics. But there are some sports that are in the Olympics.
Oh.
So,
like
I think baseball's in the Olympics, right?
I don't think it is anymore.
Oh.
I think it got cut. Well,
we're not here to discuss all the other sports. But yeah, basically it's the Olympics for sports that aren't in the Olympics. The International Olympic Committee is the original governing body for all international sport. As like the Olympics were getting more popular or whatever, they formed this new committee within them called the General Association of International Sports Federations, which is a mouthful. And within that group, there's like the Olympics sports and then the non-Olympic sports. And all the people that were in the non-Olympic sports started to realize, hey, it's kind of tough to get our sport into the Olympics, but we really care about our sport. So we're going to host our own event. So around like the 1970s, they started kind of getting that going. And they were looking for some way to showcase their own sports. The very first World Games took place summer 1981 in California. The website was really annoying. It was unclear if there were 16 or 17 sports represented. Like they had one graphic that showed 17 in their bio. It was like 16. It's unclear.
Weird.
It was also unclear if like 1,500 or 1,600 athletes competed. It seems to be somewhere between those. And then, so 1,500 to 1,600 athletes from 58 different nations. And then this was the most different set of numbers that I saw. There was either 18,000 or 80,000 spectators. The website was not great. So that was the first ever World Games, 1981. It's odd years every 4 years because the Olympics are even years, and they didn't want them to interfere with each other. This year it was 2022 because the Olympics happened in 2021, and they were going to originally have these World Games were originally going to happen in 2021, but they didn't want it to compete with the Olympics because honestly, more people are going to watch the Olympics, so they pushed it back to this year. And then Flying Disc made its first appearance in 2001 in the games in Japan. And it wasn't just Ultimate, it was also disc golf. But I didn't look into disc golf. I didn't really care.
Okay. I was going to ask what other sports are under the Flying Disc umbrella that aren't Ultimate and disc golf.
Now it's only Ultimate for at least this year. I don't know when disc golf was dropped, but at least its first year in 2001, disc golf was also there. And U.S. won the men's and women's disc golf, but we only got second in Ultimate that year.
Do you know who won for Ultimate?
Canada.
Oh.
Yeah, Canada won. Literally every other World Games after that, though, we've gotten gold. So, USA. USA, baby. So, yeah, that's like the little history of World Games. So this year, again, sports category, flying disc, discipline, ultimate. We are following, I don't know, I had pinged our editor, Lindsay Sue, some questions, and they did not answer yet. One of those questions was going to be, how do I pronounce these things on the podcast? So, World Flying Disc Federation, do people say WIFDIF?
I say it in my head.
I say it in my head, too. Is it WIFDIF?
I don't know. Maybe we can start it.
This is like a, well, you're a twin. I am the older sibling, but my brother is only 2 years younger than me. And sometimes my mother would be like, oh, watch over your brother. I have to go somewhere. This feels like that, where I was technically the older sibling, but I was not that much older. I didn't have that much more guidance. I knew how to use a microwave and how not to cut myself with a knife making food, but that was about it.
That's it.
So apologies in advance. But yeah, they're using the WIFDIF rules. I hope that's how people say it. God damn.
It's so funny.
We just lost so many listeners. And then there's 8 countries competing this year. So US, Canada, Colombia, Japan, Germany, France, Australia, Great Britain.
Right.
Yes.
Great. In fact.
Basically the way it's working this year, they'll be playing, I think this is probably how it goes most year. Tuesday, today is the first day. Each team will play their first round of pool play. There's 2 pools, 4 teams each. Wednesday, they'll do their second round of pool play. Thursday, they'll do their third round of pool play. That'll finish it up. There'll be the rankings from that. Friday, they'll have the third and fourth of each pool face each other. So third from A, fourth from B. You know how the crossovers work. And then same for first and second. So that'll be like, if you don't make first and second in your pool, you're out for the championship, basically. First and second in each pool will play their semifinal games. And then on Saturday, the last day, there will be the 7th and 8th, the 5th and 6th, the bronze medal match, and then the gold medal match.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So not a lot of Ultimate in a week.
That's kind of nice, though. Then you can, like, rest every day. Yeah. It's not like you're like, oh my god, tournament weekends are so brutal.
Yeah, it's not like the normal Ultimate. Like, they're playing for, how do I count for? They're playing 5 games. Excuse me. 5 games in 5 days, which is less than we are used to playing in a weekend.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not to say these are the champions. They deserve a actual, like, nice, normal tournament schedule. They don't need to break their bodies down playing a weekend full of Ultimate.
Yes.
But I remember, like we said, watching Khalif's stories on, like, Twitter and Instagram. There were only 14 people on that roster announcement, and I was like, holy shit, they're gonna die playing, like, all this Ultimate. And then I found out what the schedule was, and I'm like, okay, this makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Like, a smaller roster, show the absolute top level talent from that country, and it'll be a really cool showcase. And I was watching some of the games, because they've been going on since 10:30 my time. And it's really impressive. Like, a lot of the defense is just so tight and so close, and it's, like, intimidating to watch. And I'm like, wow, this is some high level mixed Ultimate. So it's exciting.
You have to go back and check it out.
Yeah, I was checking. I think they already have. Yeah, they're releasing a little bit late, so you can go to the WIFDIF website and watch the games live. And then the Canada-Germany game, the first one from this morning, is already up for replay. So they'll release them a little bit late, but not that late.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
So that's Worlds. The one other thing I wanted to talk about Worlds, and I noticed this from one of the announcers announcing I was watching the Colombia-Japan game before we hopped on here, is they're doing so the gender ratio rules are different than what we're used to. So the first point, the gender ratio is one way, then it'll flip for the second and third point, then it'll flip back for the 5th and 6th point. So it's basically even throughout the entire thing, which I really appreciate. And then a polling rule that they're trying out for this year is whichever gender ratio has more people on the field, that someone of that matching gender ratio has to poll.
Oh.
So it's encouraging a lot more women matching players to poll, which is exciting. I know as a woman playing mixed, and it's partially my fault because I never, like, offer to poll. But I always kind of feel like, oh, I can't do it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't pull because I don't really huck all that much, but
I consider myself someone that hucks on the field, and I, like, never pull because I'm always like, oh, there's some big 6'2" guy that's gonna pull it further than me, and blah, 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 blah. But I feel like if I practiced and I actually worked on it, I could do it. So I kind of like that rule. They're testing that out. It's not like an official rule. I also heard from the broadcast, the announcers have been very good so far. I've been liking them a lot. That like Worlds is often at times where they test out a few new rules, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I like those rules. That's fun.
Mm-hmm. So that's Worlds. We'll see. Does US come out on top again? I sure hope it does.
Yeah, I mean, Ravo won the Ravo won the PUL championship. So I don't know. Colombia is probably going to be right there.
Yeah, but that's just the women. Their women are good. I've actually, like, I was watching, like I said, the Colombia-Japan game before this, and I recognized a lot of the Colombia women matching players, but unfortunately I don't know any of the men. One other thing I noticed, if you're watching that, again, Japan-Colombia game, Japan seemed to, like, really mark very closely. I felt claustrophobic.
Huh.
And if you watch that game, let me know if you see that too.
I'll have to take a look. Now I'm curious.
Yeah. So that's Worlds. And then I also messaged our other source, Mike Ball.
The Mike Ball?
The Mike Ball.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, sir, can you please help me figure out the difference between Worlds? Again, Lindsay, you're leaving me hanging. World Ultimate Guts Championship. What do I call that? Because the acronym is WUGC. WUGC.
It's probably WUGC. That's a lot of syllables. For
we don't care about guts. Sorry,
we don't.
Well, I don't know what it is. Do you know what it is?
Oh, no, I was hoping you did.
Well, no, I can tell you what it is.
The point is I don't.
Before I did this research, I didn't know what it is, so I don't care about it.
Okay.
This is going to be the funny interlude. So Guts is basically dodgeball frisbee.
What?
Yeah, the Wikipedia description is 1 to 5 team members stand in a line facing the opposing team across the court. The two teams lined up parallel to each other, like dodgeball. So they flip the disc to determine who starts. Haha, like Ultimate Frisbee. The member then raises arm to indicate readiness to throw, like Ultimate Frisbee. At which point, the members of the opposing team freeze in position. The thrower then throws the disc as hard as possible at someone on the opposing team. If the thrower misses the scoring area, an area a bit larger than the space occupied by the opposing team, the receiving team scores a point. If a member of the receiving team catches the disc cleanly, neither team scores a point. If the throw is within the scoring area and the receiving team fails to catch, or catches but drops the disc, the throwing team gets a point. And then they pick it up and throw it right back at them. The receiving team must catch the disc cleanly in one hand and may not move from position until after the disc leaves the hand of the thrower. The disc may not be trapped between the hand and any other body part, including the other hand.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's basically it. Play continues until at least 21 points have been scored. And there is a difference of a score at least 2 points. So that's what Guts is. But I feel like when we talk about it, like the Ultimate Frisbee community talks about it, we leave that out. So maybe it's the World Ultimate Championships. Maybe that's what we can call it, inside of WUGC. Or whatever. And then my favorite part about this Wikipedia article is the variations of Guts. One called NUTDISC, which is what we're going to call this episode. NUTDISC is what you would imagine it would be. NUTDISC is a variation of Guts developed as a drinking game to be played around a pool. 2 players face off against one another, one standing completely still, holding a drink in their outstretched hand, perpendicular to their body. So you're just out here, arms straight out, to your side, holding a beer.
Oh my god.
The other player will throw the disc at them, attempting to either hit the player or their drink while they are not allowed to move. So you're just getting a disc whipped at you and you have to take it. If the player is hit, they take a drink. If the player is hit in the genitals, they must finish their drink, which is where NUTDISC, I'm assuming, comes from. If the beer is hit, the player finishes their drink and jumps in the pool. This section does not cite any sources.
Pockets actually went onto Wikipedia and wrote the whole thing herself.
Yeah,
no sources cited.
I just created NUTDISC. Okay,
hell yeah,
I love that. But yeah, so we're moving on from Worlds to World Ultimate Guts Championship. Describe what Guts was. I don't really know why it's related here. This is why I wish we found an expert in the field, but that's okay. So
that's what Wikipedia is for.
Yeah, Wikipedia is my expert. So while Worlds is just one mixed team sent by each country, World Ultimate Championship, there's all 3 divisions are represented: mixed, men's, and women's. I saw Ultiworld was actually a very helpful source during my research here. So in 2016, the US actually started having tryouts. So USAU started having tryouts for these teams. Before that, whoever won nationals, natties, whatever team was just sent, I guess. So that would be crazy. So in the very beginning, there was a World Ultimate Championship every 2 years, which is a lot. But I guess that makes sense if it's just the team that won natties would go. That would suck though if you won on an odd year.
Yeah, that would suck that you don't get to go.
Imagine you win all the time, but you only win on odd years.
Bummer. No,
that would be
Guts.
a true. I hate the name Guts. But then in 2000, they switched every 4 years, and then it's always been the year before Worlds. And then this is where I wish I had some sources, because it sounds like from the Ultiworld article that WIFDIF would use the world's results, not the world's results gods. So this is where I wish I had some inside help here. So in 2000, they switched to having this tournament every 4 years. It was always the year before Worlds. And then this is where I get confused, and I wish Mike knew something about Ultimate besides D3. But I think WIFDIF uses the World Ultimate Championship results to determine which countries can send a team to Worlds. I think.
Interesting.
But from what I saw, any WIFDIF member country can apply and send a team to World Ultimate Championship. You want to know how we're going to turn this episode around?
How?
I think we need to challenge the Ultiworld duos. So you and I are a duo. Cindy Fields is a duo.
Okay.
Charlie and Keith are a duo. To a game of NUTDISC. I would pay money to participate in that.
We all just go to some nondescript location, maybe even your apartment's pool, since a lot of
let's do it at my apartment's pool. Come on down, Charlie and fucking Pat, and you can all take the train from the city. It's really easy. Keith's in Connecticut. I could go pick him up. I like driving to Connecticut. Tad, you're on your own. I'm never driving to Pittsburgh ever again. I moved to New Jersey to get out of that region. Sorry, bud. All right.
But I'm sure you can figure it out to play NUTDISC against everyone else.
I know it doesn't make any sense, but put Lindsay and Mike on a team together just because they're our friends.
And they live in North Carolina together.
Oh!
Not together, but they're both there.
They have so many connections. He coaches.
Yeah, and Mike coaches Phoenix. So, yeah, perfect.
You know what? Yeah, perfect.
if you have another Ultiworld duo, I guess Sasha and Jenna, they're doing the Double Overtime podcast together. There's and Theo and Danny also.
Yeah, and then I'm forgetting their names, but there's Eurozone guys too.
Oh, Ravi and Liam. Yeah. They'll have to like fly internationally, which I'm hearing is a pain in the ass right now.
Fly for NUTDISC.
Fly for NUTDISC. Perfect.
Sweet. All right.
All right. I will.
Wait, I have one thing. I know I'm dying.
Okay.
The third in the trifecta. This isn't really truly a trifecta, but these are all like the W international tournaments that I saw. World Ultimate Club Championships, which is happening later this July in Ohio.
Lovely place.
You know what? We're calling. Remember how when you got COVID, my car got broken into? Yeah. I need something bad to happen to you.
Something bad happens to me every day, because every day I have to wake up and I have to go to my job.
Okay.
Don't worry.
That's fair.
It's coming for me.
Yeah. If you're not clued in to what's happening behind the scenes, I am like dying right now from talking so much. So sorry, World Ultimate Club Championships, but you're gonna get the little shit bit at the end of the episode. It's happening at the end of July in Ohio. 128 teams are playing over an 8-day tournament, and the better your country generally is, the more teams that you could send. I think it's a cap of 4. And it's just the best club teams that won their country's like national tournament are sent. So whatever the top 4 mixed teams. Charlie, I'm gonna pay you for this episode. This is disappointing. Actually, don't, because
it's okay.
All right. I'm like, Scotty, do you have anything you want to talk about?
Well, I didn't have any personal updates to start the episode. I've learned much about international frisbee. I've learned that COVID fucking sucks, as now both of us know. I don't know. It's the second week of July. I had last week off, which was nice. Club season is in full swing. If you see me in your pockets at any club tournaments upcoming, I'll be in Boston this weekend for Boston Invite. I think Pockets is going to be at Philly Invite, right?
No, Amp didn't host it.
Oh, LOL. Yeah. So if you come see us at any tournaments, we'll be around and playing some frisbee this summer. And hopefully we'll be back with better content in 2 weeks, and Pockets will feel better.
Hopefully I feel better. The one thing I wanted to plug is I love this website, the frisbeerankings.com. Frisbeerankings.com updated their data. So go check it out. Goodbye, cruel world. I told Sponge I'm gonna die from COVID out of spite, so I think I'm gonna go do that now.
Well, I will wrap it up. I think we may not have a subs only this week since we don't have a Pockets. Maybe I'll be able to finesse something together in a couple days. But in that case, thanks so much for joining us for this abbreviated episode. It's been fun. I learned something about World Ultimate, competitions, and it seems like Pockets did too. If anyone at Ultiworld is down for a game of NUTDISC, I will tell you where Pockets lives. That said, thanks so much for joining us. I've been Scotty Dempsey.
I am vaguely Chelsea Pockets.
And we'll catch you on the flip.